Being in Sync 366 video series. This series is intended to provide actionable items that you can implement to align yourself with the natural laws. The natural laws are essentially how all energy works, right? We have been misguided in how we manifest. And so when we align to the natural laws, you know, our entire existence begins to improve. So my name is Kiannaa Sadge, and I guide people to peace. And I do this through a process called energy psychology. No, I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I am simply a person who knows the importance of alignment with physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. And I do that through a process of modifying and adjusting our energetic systems. And how do I do that? I do that through the guidance and working with you and my teams. So today I wanted to talk about laziness. I'm just going to wait for a few more people to jump on here, but I promise you that what I'm going to tell you about the dangers of laziness is going to be from a perspective that you never imagined before. And why is it dangerous? So I'm going to wait for a few more people. Hey, Sam, good to see you. 1 second. I'm going to be right back. Okay, so sorry about that. Hey, Eric, good to see you. I had to get my dog all settled with some water. And so, as I was saying before, I had to go get some more water for my dog, is that this, how I'm going to be approaching laziness is strictly from an energetic perspective. Good to see you, Valentina, Eric, and Sam. Thanks for being here in the chats. And you might think, oh, how could being lazy be dangerous? It is dangerous. And here's why. I'm going to give you the 5 aspects of why laziness is dangerous. And I hope we have a moderator today. I'm not so sure if Will will be back, but he did such an amazing job yesterday. Oh, he's back. Will is back. He's amazing. He did such an incredible job in the chat yesterday, and I am so thankful for him. So I never even knew how this experience could be different with somebody like Will in my life helping me. So, okay, 5 reasons and why being lazy is dangerous. When somebody is lazy, they really don't know that this is happening, but this is what's going on. They are holding a lot of density. That density is what's called black force energy. Now, black forces aren't all bad because we need some black forces to help us to manifest, right? But when we are holding a lot of black force energy, that means that we are going to feel sluggish. Things are going to feel heavy. Maybe overwhelming, and maybe even lethargic, and maybe even complacence. But another word for lazy is going to be a sleepwalker. You know, those people who are sleepwalking. Remember a couple days ago I talked about how people in an organization can be sleepwalking. This is what sleepwalking is. It's laziness. What is laziness? It is essentially unconscious. So people are not making conscious choices, or they're continuously repeating the choices that they've made or that they didn't even know they were making. Because most people who are unconscious or asleep don't even know what they're doing. If they like, you know, and to give you an example how unconscious behavior works, and this is not to call it lazy, but to give you an example, how many people do you know actually read the inserts of the medication? Okay, why wouldn't you read that? That's something that you are consciously putting into your body to consume, to impact how your body is operating. Why wouldn't you want to be fully aware of everything that you are doing, like making a conscious choice? If people read the side effects for most of their medications, they probably would look and see, is there an alternative, right? And I'm not saying that all medications are bad. This is not about medication. This is about conscious choice. This is about our awareness. So when people are having this heavy density in their field, they are essentially unconscious, checked out, sleepwalking. And then what happens is we get this feedback loop. This is the third thing, this feedback loop that happens in our negative ego, okay? This is happening in the ego aspects of the mind, and it creates a negative feedback loop to those lower frequency vibrations, right? This is how thoughts become formed. They create density, right? This is why it's so important to understand resistance and our awareness, and even knowing that we're in resistance, you know? This feedback loop connects into what's called shadow. So some of you who are familiar with traditional therapy, they sometimes refer to the shadow as our dark side, but there's our personal shadow, and then there's the collective shadow. People who are sleepers, or also known as unconscious or lazy, they'll be tapped into the collective unconscious in a way that's more detrimental than maybe somebody else. This is not to compare, but just to kind of give it a different perspective. I just saw somebody said new age waffle. I'm not sure what that means, but you don't have to stay here. You could keep on going. Because obviously you're not of Christ consciousness to say something like that, because Christ consciousness is about kindness and love and empathy and compassion, and comments like that are really just going to boomerang you. So obviously if you write in all caps, I'll see it faster because I haven't even gone into the chat until I saw that. So the other thing that will happen is, like, when you're connected to that collective shadow, you might have a sense of some type, or feel like a sense of sleepiness or even trauma that's not yours. But what this does is it leaves you vulnerable to more of that density, more of that connection. And that is problematic, because when you have an absence of life, and that's number 5, is when you look at what laziness is, it's an absence of light. It's an absence of light force. So how do we live? How do we thrive? We're connected to life force. When people are lazy and unconscious and asleep, they are lacking life force energy. So, questions about laziness. First, I want to say thank you. It looks like Will is in the chat, so thank you so much, Will. You're amazing. And I want to also say that this laziness topic came to me from a couple days ago in the chat. Somebody asked me to do a live on laziness, and so somebody is saying, so a lot of word salad. Well, what did you not understand, Danny? Because you may not be understanding what it's like for people to be unconscious. So I would really like to understand what you're not understanding. And I'm going to go back to the top and see if there's any questions. Okay. Eric, Sam, so good to see you both here. Valentina, I love that name. That was my name when I used to use fake name. When I was a teenager, I always used the name Valentina. I thought it was just like a song. Beautiful. Thank you, Valentina's commenting on the art. Thank you. Okay. Nomad Vlog is saying, I'm a blogger from India. No, I don't. I don't want to invest any more time, effort, and energy into these live at this time, other than what I am doing for this Being in Sync 366 video series, which my whole focus is to provide meaningful content and resonate with people who want to make significant changes. I have no interest in, I would love to grow the channel organically, but it is what it is. That's what it is. But I understand a lot of people invest in these platforms. I'm not one of them. Positive affirmations. You're totally wrong. I don't talk about black. In fact, I didn't even mention black at all. So I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you misheard what I was saying. Hyman is asking, do I drink red wine? Not usually, no. What about chemicals in food? What about them? Oh, thanks, Eric. Thank you for your compliment. That's nice. Yeshua, looking at your name. It's pseudoscience. I don't know what you're talking about. There's nothing about this that's science. I'm not a doctor or a psychologist or pretending to be one. This is energy patterning. If you don't understand how energy works, then you will be manipulated. That's it. Okay. Melvin is suggesting I wear a nice Rolex. I don't have a Rolex. So I'm not going to wear something I don't have. And I'm certainly not going to go buy a Rolex. It is not in anything. NGD, he's saying, or she is saying trauma connection. I'm not, there could be a trauma connection for sure for laziness, but it will basically be still a lack of conscious choice. People not making a lack of conscious choice. Does trauma make people not make conscious choices? No, because we all have free will. So trauma does not make us go unconscious. We may choose to not want to be in life because of trauma, which is a conscious choice. So you have to understand we're consciously choosing from one moment to the next. Hello, Nepal. No, I did not draw the picture. No, I am not Jewish. Any questions about laziness? How do psychological factors such as stress or depression influence feelings of laziness? I was going back and forth about whether I should talk about complacency and all of that. But, stress influences everything. Fear influences everything. Depression and stress and fear are all part of whether we're choosing or not choosing consciously. So stress would be an indication that you need to change how you are, one, perceiving. Number two, how you are moving through what you're moving through. So like, for example, if you have a job that is stressful, right? So let's just, what's a good example of a stressful job? I'll give you an example of, let me see, something, I want to say something that's not political. I'm going to say, let's just say that you have a medical situation and it's causing you stress. And you don't want to go to the doctor and you don't want to go to the emergency room, but it's causing you stress. That's going to definitely influence how somebody is operating. So you want to look at how are you choosing to navigate your health would be a good way to turn that problem into a question, because we're always navigating, right? So how are you choosing to navigate your health will change how you are choosing every time you're making a decision. Does that make sense? Sam, does that make sense to you? So how we are choosing to, depression would be, how are we choosing to be in life, right? So depression is not necessarily a psychological issue, although I'm sure a therapist would say different. I would say it's more simple than that. Depression is a lack of conscious choices repeatedly made in a pattern that keeps reinforcing that feeling of suppression, oppression, and depression. Does that make sense, Sam? I hope so. I'm trying to keep it really simple. Muzin is saying, does laziness cause people to have memory loss? I would say that memory is a part of how we are energetically wired, and there is a lot to memory that is not in the public domain. But I would say many people, if not all people, human beings to some extent, have been memory wiped from their consciousness. So they don't have we don't have access to our entire history. You know, I don't think that's organic. That's an inorganic aspect that's impacting humanity. Would that cause somebody to have memory loss because they're lazy? No. But if they're sucked into another system which they cannot see, but when you're pulled out of it, you could definitely feel the difference. That changes how we operate. When we're operating for more connection to life force, we will have more memory. So think of memory and life force as in being connected to your heart. Okay, Musin, you keep asking the same question. Memory is so complicated. People like to keep it so simple, but it's so complicated because memory is all energetic. It's not just how your brain is wired and how your brain works. It's how all the neural pathways are running and also how we're connected. Does laziness cause people to become entitled? Well, when we're operating in the ego mind, and we have a elevated ego mind, so we have a higher ego and a lower ego, and then we have the balanced ego, right? We want to be balanced in our ego. The lower ego is typically when we're not, when we talk poorly to ourselves, we don't like ourselves. We have worthiness issues, and what you're talking about, entitled, would be the higher ego, which is inflated ego, which is also a disconnection, but it's a different expression of the ego mind. And so laziness doesn't cause people to be in the ego mind. The ego mind is disconnecting us from our heart, and that's the cause of people going into the ego mind and feeling entitled, in my simple assessment of this question. Obviously, it's more detailed than that as to why we're disconnected from our heart. But people who are lazy will also have a lack of connection with Creator, with God Force, with Source Energy, with whatever you want to call energy. They will be disconnected from that. And that disconnection causes the ego mind to go crazy. Thunder. Everything is connected if you think about it. Absolutely. Connected, and many things are entangled. So we have to disentangle a lot of things that are connected, right? Thunder. The brain is complicated, but it works in simplistic ways when we're connected to our heart. When we're disconnected from our heart, that's when life starts to, and our body will be responding to that. Good morning, Kadar. I see you. Upcycle is saying new studies show what once considered brain disease is actually related to gut health. Absolutely. The gut is super important. My husband used to always joke with me because I would always say gut biome, the gut biome, the gut biome. But it's true. We have so many different systems in our body that get influenced by other systems. So like the gut biome is influenced by what? The nervous system. The nervous system and the gut biome are always in communication. Everything is in communication with our nervous system. And yet, so many people do not understand how to, know when their fight or flight is activated. So many people dismiss fight or flight being activated because they just don't know how to turn it off. And I teach any therapist that comes to me how to turn it off so they could teach their clients. Whether they do it or not is up to them. But I teach anybody who will listen on a session. That's the first thing that we start with is the nervous system, because that dictates everything. It dictates how your chemicals are running in your body, your adrenals, everything. Vincent is saying, your ego tells me you can't help others. Ego. Vincent, are you sure you're not projecting? Because you have no idea how I help others. Just go look at my testimonials, and that's not even how many people I've helped. So that's just a snippet of the people that I've been able to support. But Vincent, you don't have to stay here. You could go ahead and bring your ego self onto another channel. How do you improve learning? Well, first you want a baseline where you're at with learning, and then you want to see where you want to go. Simple. Peter is saying, I would say the majority of lazy people are more likely to self-deprecate than be raised with a high sense of self-worth. I agree, Peter. But lazy people are, just look at this. Lazy people are disconnected. They're unconscious. So they don't even know what they're doing, what they're aligning to. They're not conscious, meaning they're not consciously choosing. So it doesn't matter really. We can't change them if they don't want to change what they're doing. But it is important if we recognize those traits within ourselves. So for example, if I had somebody that was lazy in my field, in my environment as a client, which lazy people wouldn't come to me as a client. However, if I had a lazy person as a friend, I would want to look at, and I was seeing them as lazy and judging them or experience them as lazy, I would look at where am I checked out of my life. So for example, when I was working in that organization and those people that were walking around that were what I would call asleep, they weren't my clients, but they were in my field. So if I were to go back, I could have just asked myself, well, where am I asleep at the wheel in my own life? And those people were just reflecting that. There were aspects of my life that I was not looking at. Now, is that a bad thing? No, that's a conscious thing. So was I looking at my life from a macrocosm way at that time? No. Did I look at my teams in that way? Yes. Did I look at certain aspects of my life that way? Yes. But did I holistically look at that? No. If I did, I probably would have come up with a different approach to not only those people, but also to what I was doing in my life. So people who are lazy, if they're showing up in your life, it's an indication to you to look at an aspect of yourself that you may be missing. So Vashu, that's a good way to look at learning. Oh, these are not Dollar Tree glasses. I wish. I've never even been into a Dollar Tree. You think they're cheap? I think they're cute. But hey, go ahead, keep on judging. It doesn't hurt me at all. Hello, Juan. Samir, thank you. Hello, hola, Mexico. ¿Cómo estás? Red Hunter, how to turn off what? The ego mind? The ego mind it's a practice. I think that's what you're talking about, Red. This is a good question. Is procrastination the same as laziness? I would say no, off the top of my head. And I think that's a great question. So the distinction off the top of my head between procrastination and laziness is that procrastination, you have a knowing that you're in avoidance of something. Whereas laziness, they're not aware that they're avoiding. When you're in procrastination and you know you're in avoiding, then you can make another choice to not avoid, and that would be unconscious choice. But at least with procrastination, there's an awareness that you're putting something off. With laziness, you're not even aware that you're putting it off. You're just kind of zoned out. Does that make sense? NGD, you are the laziest. I think you're probably accurate. And so I'm surprised that you're even watching this video. So maybe it's time to wake up. Are you ready? NGD, are you ready to wake up? Because that's what you're being called to do. If you came across this channel, it's because you've been called to wake up. And that means you got to get out of your funk and start making conscious choice. And I think that's a great awareness that Upcycle, thank you. I agree. It would be nice if this conversation and the comments would be decent conversation, but not everybody is at the same level of consciousness, right? So I do believe Will is here helping with some of the comments and deleting them that aren't relevant. Being lazy is very dangerous. It keeps you vulnerable, and it's basically disconnection from life force. Yeah. No, I am not an English teacher. Okay. Tanner is saying, as far as I know, consistency, perseverance, and optimistic approach foster memory. Contrary to this fact, procrastination, slacking, and pessimistic ruin it. Well, some people just aren't ready to see. And oftentimes memory comes in a vision or a thought, and a lot of people do not like what they're thinking or seeing. So we have to look at that aspect. You can procrastinate during an activity where laziness is not doing a human activity. I mean, I didn't look up the definition. I just looked at it energetically. Obviously, this is not a technical. Energy is technical. Energy is very technical, but I'm trying to keep it in layman's terms because, you know, not everybody here is fluent in energy. But, you know, somebody said I was talking about black energy all the time, and I'm not. Salvo, good to see you here. I just had this lady say, TC? I don't know what that word is. I don't know what that word is. I wouldn't give it any more time, Salvo. True V, am I a personal motivator? Nobody's ever called me a personal motivator. Catalyst, maybe. Oh. She said comprende with my boss, who is Spanish. Oh, capici. As my screen stops as I say that. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. Capice, comprende. Ah. My mother's Italian. Is it true that Americans drink their coffee with salt? I don't know. I don't speak for all Americans, but I don't. I didn't even start drinking coffee until COVID. All right, y'all. So I'm just going to recap here. I'm just going to do a recap here for you all. Okay, so there's 5 aspects of laziness and why it's dangerous. Number 1, when somebody's lazy, they're holding black energy. So when you have too much density, oh, my phone was ringing, that's why. When you have too much density in your field, it will cause somebody to become more unconscious. That means they're not making conscious choices, okay? Then what happens additionally to that is it creates a feedback loop, a negative feedback loop into the negative ego. That's either the lower ego or the higher ego. When that happens, that can cause somebody to feel kind of trauma-ish and expressing in that way. And it also will cause them to feel sleep, like they're asleep, and they'll be dazed or in a zone. And this leaves people vulnerable to manipulation. Ultimately, it's a lack of light. It's a lack of holding light force when people are lazy. That means they have a disconnection from creator, God, source energy, whatever you want to call it. And when that happens, we have vulnerabilities, and there are aspects in which we can be manipulated. You know, I have people that call me and they see shadows, they see dark men, they're in fear, their fight or flight's always going, they have people sleeping or sitting on their beds when they're sleeping. This is black forces. These are entity attachments. This is what people contend with. It might not be you that's contending with it, but if you don't want it to be you, you don't want to be in connection with these aspects of laziness. And if you have somebody in your field who is lazy and you see them as lazy, you want to look, where am I lazy? What aspects of my life am I checked out of or asleep in? And wake up. You want to be awake in all aspects of your life. So, I don't see any other questions here. Dave is saying, hope your valuable videos with less views will get recognized in a big way. Oh, thank you. You are giving important information in an organized way. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you commenting on that. And I appreciate that, Dave. A lot of my videos have not been watched. You are right. But that's okay. You know, I started this channel with the hopes of helping one person. So if more than one person gets help, that's it. I'm here to do my job. I didn't come on here for likes or thumbs up. As you can see, there's not a huge following on this channel. But I appreciate more people becoming more aligned to the natural laws. Upcycle, the manipulations, they blow your mind. They're out there, but we can't be shocked by it, because once we go into shock, guess what? We get vulnerable. I wish I could save your chat here, Dave. I'm going to I think I can pin it. Dave, thanks. I pinned your chat. Thank you. I didn't even know I could do that. That chat was so good. It was pin worthy. Okay, let me see. Let me see if there's any questions. I heard that we don't make the decisions on bad days. Okay, so bad days and good days, those are judgments. So we want to be neutral. And it's good to not make decisions when you're overly emotional, for sure. I would say yes to not making big decisions on over emotional. You want to be balanced, meaning you don't have any attachment to any aspect of any outcome. Salvo, I recommend books before. Today I recommended a book to a client. If you haven't read The Four Agreements, that's a good book. I haven't recommended that one in a long time. But it would really mean what do you want to learn about? The other day I recommended on here something biology. Now I can't even remember. The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. Now that's not something I read. It's not on my recommended list of books. The Four Agreements is. True is saying, a lot of intelligent people I know all my life who are way more intelligent than me never achieve their potential because of laziness. Whoa, that is deep, deep true. What's the cure to laziness, or how do you personally overcome it? The cure is connection to the heart, connection to God, a direct connection with God. That means through the heart, not thinking and not going to the church. It's about having your direct connection in your heart to creator energy, source energy, also going into nature, connecting with nature. That would overcome laziness in a very short period of time. But people have to be willing to go out in nature and be with nature. That's not laziness, that's connection. They need to create a connection. Or also work with somebody like me, but lazy people typically are not in alignment to growth. And that's where potentials are. So you talked about they didn't reach their potential, but their potentials are activated like switches, right? We have them in our body. Our DNA works like a switch too. And so we turn things on and off, and his or her stuff, your people around you, would have had it turned off. Is that helpful, True? Should we define it as laziness when life puts too much on us and we can't take it and we stand still? Tanner, I don't know your specific situation, but I would say that shock, maybe shock, disbelief, and sometimes we just need to be still so we can assess and readdress. So I would not say that it's the same. John, good to see you. Somebody has been singing my praises. Oh, today on Twitter? What? Oh, thanks. Thanks. Isaac, thank you. Thank you for... Yes, it's called being overwhelmed, but it's okay to be overwhelmed, to take a breath and be conscious. Whoever Isaac is, thank you. And thank you, John, for sharing that. I had no idea. I'm not really on Twitter, but thank you. Flutter by. Everyone manipulates. That's not true. So I disagree with you, flutter by. Everybody is not in manipulation. Those of us who have built our spiritual house, we work out of our hearts. We don't manipulate, and we consciously do not buy into those conditions in which people do manipulate. And we could see manipulation. When you have your spiritual house built, you see manipulation, and you see it from a mile away. Now, whether you make conscious choices to listen to that, that's a different challenge, right? Those purposefully doing manipulation, so what you're suggesting, it's called a black heart. Flutter by. When people are purposefully manipulating others, they lie, they cheat, they manipulate, they have what's called a black flowering heart. And they usually have no awareness that what they're doing is wrong or incongruent or abusive. They're unconscious and they are asleep and they don't even know it. And oftentimes they become inundated with attachments of other forces that make and contribute to them causing what's loosh and miasma, hurt and trauma to others around them, even people that they love, even people that their children. I've seen it firsthand. And those are also called, there's diagnoses for those types of people. They often go by the term narcissist, but they will hurt their children. They don't care because they have a black heart. And what you do with people that have a black heart is your choice. For me, hit the road. You're not in my field. They won't even resonate with me. They will hate me because I hold a consciousness that will trigger the hell out of them. It's not laziness, it's lack of discipline. Sometimes lighting a fire under someone's butt is a star. If that's your job to light the fire, great, but most lazy people don't want the fire lit. Hey, Mick, good to see you here. Good to see you. Thank you, G. I'm having a beautiful day. It's been busy. Salvo saying, I don't know what I want to learn, but I know I can't be stagnant. I'm here at the point in life where I can go anywhere and do anything, and I'm not tied down at all. That's freedom right there. So it's really, what do you want to create for yourself? So I would ask yourself, what do you want to create? Who are you becoming, Salvo? Answer that question. I don't think you need to read a book. You need to begin to activate that creation within you, because you have access to a frequency of freedom that allows you to be a stronger co-creator than most. Oh, Red is giving you a book. I don't read the Bible. I'm not a fan of reading the Bible, but that doesn't mean there aren't some gems in there. I don't follow a religion. I believe in God. I believe in source energy, creator. I don't follow a dogma of religion. I follow the law of one, which is the natural laws are totally in alignment with the law of one. That's what I believe. That's what I follow. And I have not seen a church out there that even teaches this stuff. There's some new age stuff out there, but a lot of it's been manipulated. Freeze is like fight or flight. It can be, yes. Fight or flight is a term that's been used to describe how your nervous system acts or reacts or responds to a stimulus or an event or situation. Oh, Woven is saying, sometimes I apply the principles of Lean Six Sigma to my life. Well, for those of the people in the chat that don't know what Lean Six Sigma is, it is a process improvement plan or processing. I'm certified in Lean, but it's just process improvement. And the only reason why I know about Lean and Six Sigma is because I got certified in it because all my clients were using those processes and they weren't working because they didn't have the people piece addressed. Isaac Hard Okie. Thank you, Isaac Hard Okie. Appreciate you for being here. I've never seen you in the chat, so thank you, John, for bringing it to his attention. Aaron, how to get motivated even when you don't want to get out of bed is difficult. Aaron, that's a different topic than laziness, but let me see. How to get motivated. I would consciously breathe into your heart. I know that's not what everybody would say, but I would start to use conscious breath. And I would do 100 breaths. And see how you feel when you breathe consciously for 100 breaths. You should feel pretty ignited and motivated after that. If not, let me know, and I'll give you another suggestion. Mick, good to see you. HD, good to see you. Oh, Juan, I worked with HVAC guys. I worked a lot with a lot of engineers. I know a lot of technical stuff. That's why I'm so technical when I'm giving you guys the 5 things or the 2 things, is because I know that's how I perceive information, and I work with a lot of engineers. Delivery Dragon, am I a therapist? No. I do energy psychology. It's the alignment of the physical body, mental body, emotional body, and spiritual body. It's essentially getting us aligned within, and it is not therapy. It's nothing like therapy. It's more of an experience. So if you were to have a session with me, it wouldn't be like therapy, although you might categorize it as that, because my clients sometimes call me that, they're therapists, but I'm not a therapist. I don't align to a dogma. I do not treat people in a prescriptive way. Everybody is unique, and everybody has their own unique ways of doing things. I'm not a lawyer either. Hello, welcome here. Tanner, I have difficult focusing. Is that on anything is my problem? Okay. All right. I have a meeting to go to, you guys. These are a lot of good questions. So I'm going to write, my next lives are going to focus on focus. I'm just going to go through real quick. Is focus an issue, a problem? I would not say your issue is laziness. It would be consciously choosing. Are you re-choosing and redirecting? So we need to become a master at directing our mental faculties, and that's different than lazy. Okay, I think I've got through all the questions. Oh, good, Salvo. I'm glad you had a lot to think about. Okay. Thank you so much all for being here, for your questions. I will talk about focus in a future live and why we have a hard time focusing our mental abilities. Thank you so much for taking time to watch these videos. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Isaac, for sharing this on Twitter. I'm so grateful for more people being exposed to the natural laws and how energy works. My name is Kiannaa Sadge, and I guide people to peace. I help people to align mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. We all do that through the natural laws. Thank you for taking time. I will talk about depression too. I'm writing it down. Thank you. Thank you so much, Crazy Chris. I appreciate you. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.